if you're seeking to start up a non-profit organization, here are 7 common and costly mistakes you must avoid if you want to build a successful and sustainable non-profit organization. Too many founders are out there struggling because they didn't get this information you're about to get in this video now. So stick to the end because this is going to be very valuable to you. The very first mistake you should take note of is not creating a business plan. This is one big error many founders did that brought them to where they are today, the frustrated place they are today. Business planning not only provides you clarity that you need to be successful, it also helps you, right, systematically lay out your vision as you have envisioned it. Without business planning or without writing a business plan, your ideas are still very much in your head, which is they are yet to come to life. So because writing it down is really the first step to bringing your ideas to life. Also, without business planning, you may not be able to determine the feasibility of your impact. So the feasibility means the sustainability of your impact. You may be able to get 1 or 2 resources to get started today, but how do you keep going? This is really why business planning is very important and why you should not make the mistake of not, undergoing business planning. Another side of this are the people who outsource the planning process. They outsource it to a professional just because they feel they could pay for it. The truth is, by outsourcing it to a professional, you're taking a very risky step. The clarity you're supposed to get, you're not going to get it because you're not the one who did the business planning, who did the research, right? 2, you're most likely going to be disintegrated from the vision because you didn't hold it to heart as it's supposed to. It's one of the things business planning is supposed to do for you. Really help you gain clarity to execute with precision. And now you've outsourced that advantage to somebody else who now has all the information and even more motivated to even execute than yourself. So do not outsource the process. Make sure you take charge of the process and you lead the process. The second mistake most new non-profit founders make is recruiting family and friends into their board. I get it. Sometimes it's necessary to bring in these placeholders, right? But the truth is, by bringing in family and friends into your board, you're limiting your organization to your immediate network. So if you had gone out there to bring in, say, for example, you're within the childcare space and then you brought a professional in the childcare space who's already creating impact or doing her own work, you're tapping into that network that's going to help you now further your cause. Unlike where you're relegating your organization to just, family and friends. So, like I said, we understand that sometimes these people are placeholders, but it's important that you go out there to find people who are passionate about your vision, people who have the skills, the expertise to help you succeed. And many times your friends and family do not have those skills. But if you have friends and family who have those skills, do not hesitate to bring them on because you need all the support that's necessary to ensure the success of your organization. The third common and costly mistake most non-profit founders make is not planning with their board and community. Now, business planning is one thing. That's for you, the founder. But when it comes to strategic planning with your board and the community, that's the real organization plan. And doing that all by yourself or going to outsource it to somebody else to do it, it's still very much like I said with business planning. You are delegating a very important aspect of your organization because strategic planning helps you bring everybody together. An analogy I like to use is strategic planning is the way you get to mix oil and water. Because in community development, we believe that people who plan together execute together, right? So by planning, by collecting those ideas, by making your board members feel like, their ideas are ahead, they're part of the mission, they're part of the plan that has been executed, you are actually mixing them in a way that they now feel an ownership of the organization, unlike where they're just board members, which is going to have a very huge effect on how they support you. And also by planning with them, you're already giving them a buy-in, which is also going to give you that head up, in terms of when it comes to executing, they are going to execute with you every step of the way because they feel they were part of the people who put together the plan. So also it is with your community or the community you serve. They also have to be a part of it. For example, if you're serving the blind population and you're not having somebody from within the blind population to come, make input into your plan, share their ideas, review, you're most likely missing out on a very important feedback. Or, not reaching out to the general community to say, this is what we're trying to do. We want to hear your ideas. You just can't go back to that same community and try to raise money because it's not right. They didn't even know how you got there in the first place. But if you're able to bring in your community, the board, into the planning process, you've already created an inroad for your organization so that when you're going back to ask for funding, it is very natural. It is no longer a first touch, you trying to reach out to the person for the first time and you're asking for money. But now you're reaching out because you reached out through strategic planning, and then you can conveniently reach out to ask for funding or support. So this is one mistake most non-profit founders make that have left their organization without community backing or support. The fourth mistake, common and costly mistake most non-profit founders make, is thinking their 501c3 approval is same as having your non-profit. Your 501c3 approval, I'm sorry to break this to you, is just what it is, a tax exemption status. Because a non-profit isn't really the approval, isn't the tax exemption status. It is the people, it is the programs, it is the activities, it is the results that you create. So if you think just going out there to get a 501c3 approval and you have a non-profit, well, you're joking, because you're soon going to realize that there's so much more work to do. You're going to still need to build your board. You're still going to need to, build your organization. You're still going to need to figure out how to raise money, all that. And that's really what building an organization is all about, figuring out all that. Of course, having your 501c3 is also a very important part of the process that we put forth. The fifth step, or the fifth common mistake most non-profits make, is what we call the poor branding. Most new founders don't understand the concept of branding. They don't understand what a non-profit brand should really be. Well, I'll tell you this: your brand is how your organization is going to be perceived. So you want that perception to be one of credibility, one of an organized entity, one of one that can elicit the trust of those you're looking to raise money from and get their support. So how do you do that? You need to be able to put forth a brand that truly represents your organization. This starts by your logo, your colors, your marketing materials, your marketing content. All that are part of your brand that has to be intentionally curated to represent the organization you're trying to build. So, but because most new founders do not understand this, they think it's all about just putting together a logo, social media handles, website, and boom, they're out there trying to raise money. Again, well, I always say any action is better than no action. So if that's what you're doing, it's fine, but there has to be a lot of intentionality to building your brand. The sixth common mistake most nonprofits make is jumping into impact. So, for example, you had your board, you've done business planning, you brought in board members, you've done strategic planning, you've gone on to incorporate, you've developed your brand and infrastructure you need to execute, and then you just go straight into executing your programs. The organizations where the founder already have resources, maybe $1 million that they put forth to execute these programs, it's fine. You can just jump in to go execute. Or you may have a signature program that may not cost you much. You can also jump in to execute. But the truth is, to execute successfully, sustainably, you need good resources. So that's why when we're talking about execution, we're always telling founders, do not just rush in towards impact, rush in towards building the structure, the resources that's going to be necessary to sustainably get you to create your impact. So imagine you rushing into the field and creating impact, and in 6 months you're out because you don't even have the structural resources to sustainably, keep that impact going. So that's why when you build an organization, the first step is, we would say, is go out there to go get the resources and the support that you need to be successful. So sometimes this would even include, running introductory marketing, trying to raise money, right? Before then going into the create your impact. There's a lot of philosophy to this that I may not be able to explain in this video. But say for example, you start up your organization, you and your board members, you all go all out to raise, say, maybe the first 100K or $1 million. That money can sustainably run your organization for the next 5 years as you create your impact, while also raising money along that period. So you end up having an organization that's sustainable for the next 5 years. And as you execute over that 5 years, you're raising money to run the next 10 years. Strategic execution. Business people, they know this. That's why you see when a capitalist wants to start up a business, the first thing they go do is find funding, because they know once it's a proven concept with resources, you can be able to scale and you can be able to create an impact sustainably. Lastly, the seventh common and costly mistake most founders make is operating from a lack mentality or a low self-esteem. I'll explain both. A lack mentality is really one of the prevailing factor within the non-profit space. I understand that most non-profits are trying to make the best of what they have. So that's way they're trying to, cut costs, try to make things just go smoothly by trying to just, squeeze in. But that's wrong. I'll tell you, there's abundant resources out there. In community development, we believe that every community have the resources that's needed to sustainably impact and transform that community. So you have to open up your mind to the fact that there are resources out there, there are resources within, if you look carefully and strategically. So do not plan your programs. Say, for example, you have a program that's supposed to cost $1 million. You're planning it into 100K because you feel there's not enough resources. That's what I'm talking about. By doing that, you are underserving the people you're called to serve. If it's going to cost you $1 million to sustainably create this impact, please go out there to find $1 million. It's out there. Even it's within your community. So do not play on that, lack mentality. I'm talking especially to the Black Americans now. We've always had this idea of, not having enough. So it's very important you take that off the table. Also, the aspect of low self-esteem, some founders are so, I think I was also in that place when I started. When I started my nonprofit, I would always say, I'm running this small nonprofit, I'm running this small organization, we're creating this small impact somewhere. I'll tell you this, that's from a point of a low self-esteem. If you are creating impact, then you're doing something outstanding that should be shouted about from the rooftop, right? Everybody should know about it. And regardless of the size of your impact, you deserve to sit on the table of winners. You deserve the biggest of whatever that's available to people creating impact. So by limiting or by reducing the size of your impact, and by shying away from tables where these opportunities are discussed, or by shying away from opportunities because you feel you're not up to that, I think that's something that needs to be corrected. The organizations that are doing millions of dollars, those that are running into billions of dollars, they have nothing special than what you already have. So believe it, believe in your vision, believe in yourself, believe in the work that you do, and go out there and let the world know that truly you believe it. Because if you don't believe it, nobody will believe it. The funders, they were going to see through you that indeed you don't believe enough. So these are the 7 common and costly mistakes new non-profit founders make when you're starting out. Please and please do not make these mistakes. Take your time to start up a successful and sustainable non-profit organization that's going to sustainably create impact and even keep serving the people you're called to serve even after you're gone. But if you make these mistakes, you're most likely going to find yourself among the ranks of founders struggling to create impact, struggling to transform their community just because of lack of knowledge. So, of course, I'm going to be here again to talk about more ways you can maximize your nonprofit. Feel free to reach out to us if you need any help. And of course, check the comment section. You're going to get a link to get our nonprofit starter pack that's going to help you avoid these mistakes and also help you start up your nonprofit at your own pace, right? You have clear instructions on there to guide you. You have tools and resources that's going to be needed across the process as you go. And of course, you're going to find access to me to be able to learn or talk about anything you want to talk about. All right. So until I see you tomorrow, it's going to be bye for today.